And hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I just want to welcome everybody today to this session. We're going to talk about extending ArcGIS in the field using RFID for asset management. Yeah, as they said before, I'm a surveyor. I've been a surveyor. I've got 20 years experience in the surveying profession. I just recently joined Berntsen International to lead their business development. So finally having a surveyor on staff there, I've been giving a lot of great input on products and talking about just things that we can do to improve things for surveyors. In the field, as well as looking at launching our Infomarker solution. If you've been here before, or if you tapped in last fall, we did a presentation. This presentation is going to be very similar, but we're also going to show a little bit more in depth on some demonstrations of some of the software that we have available, as well as show you a little bit more on how things integrate with ArcGIS. One other thing I just want to share, and I'm going to put a little plug in here today, just real quick. I also do a blog series, and I just want to invite, if you're ever looking for some really interesting reading material, we do have, they're pretty short. They're, like one-pager kind of things, but they're really interesting just on the history of surveying, some of the people who are significant in surveying, and then some new technology things coming out, those sorts of things. So we have one, it's like every other week they come out about. So feel free, if you get a chance, I would go to the Berntsen International webpage. We've got Berntsen.com, which is like our commerce site, if you want to buy and purchase things. But if you actually go to www.berntseninternational.com and then click on the news articles, you'll see a whole list of them. Right now, our current one is actually in honor of President's Day. So as surveyors, we talk a little bit about, the presidents and how the presidents have been significant in shaping the land boundaries that we have today, but really talking a little bit more in depth on how they got their start in surveying, and really the person that put it all together as far as creating some very early documentation and some instruction manuals on how to survey. So it's all about John Love, if you know anything about him, and some of the documents that he authored. So it's really interesting. It's good information, and we have one coming out potentially next week, all about little teaser here, but about the god of boundaries, Terminalia. So that's coming out here likely next week already. So anyways, just wanted to share. I'm really looking forward to sharing this new technology with you and how we can work with asset management using ArcGIS and branching that gap that's been there, and then also to help you organize your organization, streamline their asset management in the field while providing accurate asset data for your GIS platform. So as a surveyor, I've been both a user and provider of information working with Marathon County for 13 years. I really understand the importance of really putting out accurate data. So that's why I'm really excited to share with you today this presentation. Also, if you have questions, I believe somebody, I'm not really sure who is moderating the question and answer portion, or if you've got questions, please let me know. We can answer them throughout the presentation here. It's kind of sometimes just easier to do that. But we will also have some time at the end to go through some of those as well. So just a quick overview of what we're going to discuss today. First, we're going to just talk a little bit about Berntsen and a little bit about why Berntsen chose RFID, or radio frequency identification, for being able to connect infrastructure management, and really a little bit more about how that technology works. Then we're also going to touch base on just asset management challenges that organizations face, and then show you how RFID marking can actually address those pain points. We'll show you a little bit about how our app works in the field with a quick demonstration. Then we'll review some case study that we've done with some of our customers, and then we're going to follow that with some question and answers. So before we do get started, though, I'm just kind of early on with WLIA. I've known about the organization for many, many years. I've got associates that are in the organization, but there's a lot more that I don't know about it. So I just want to be able to gauge a little bit on our audience that we have today. So we're going to launch a couple of poll questions here. The first one is, oh, that's not my poll question. I'm not sure whose poll question that is. That's a great poll question, though, for sure. Our first poll question is supposed to be what best describes your level of work. So I'm not sure if we have that one available. There we go. All right, so first question is what best describes your level of work? Are you typically doing work for state, county, local, municipal, so your city, village, town, or are you doing mainly private work? And then also what best describes what you do? Are you typically working with highways and roads? Are you more into land records, which I know is a big part of WLIA, so your land information offices, property description, register of deeds. Are you on the land surveying or engineering side of things? Parks and forestry, public utilities, or something else? So if you could please just take a quick minute to fill that out and go ahead and click submit. And I'm gonna, mine is up on my screen here. So we will just leave that open for just a quick second here again. And then if you take the time to fill it out, I'm not sure how we are doing on results there, but if we have those available, that's great, perfect. All right, so we do have a good mix of different levels being reflected here, mainly county and local government, but a good mix too of state and private individuals too. And then as far as the results here for what best describes what you do, we've got a good amount in public utilities and a good amount in land records. So that's great. It's a good wide range to see here. So glad to see that. All right, so that's going to gauge a little bit more on how we structure this discussion, but a little bit more about us here at Berntsen. Berntsen is really the global leader in infrastructure marking solutions. We've been marking the infrastructure of the world since 1972. We're actually really excited. We're going to be coming up on our 50th year in business here coming up next year. So we're really excited about doing some great things with that and some promotions. So look forward to that. But really most of the surveyors in the country know Berntsen because of our surveying products. We provide a lot of products for public land survey systems surveys. Everybody is pretty familiar with our aluminum cast monuments and our pipe monuments going into the ground. So that's great to see. But really what we've looked up at was that we found, I'm sorry, my screen isn't advancing here. There we go. So we identified a real large gap between data management accuracy and then field precision. So there's a little difference there. So the data in GIS, wasn't quite matching the reality of what was going on in the field. And so what we did is we were really perfectly positioned to resolve that problem. Over a decade ago, Berntsen started looking at smart marker technology. And really after a long line of extensive research, it was determined that RFID, or radio frequency identification, was really the right technology to tie what was in our physical world into what we were putting in our digital world. So this graphic really shows some milestones along that journey. So from 2010, when we built our first UHF RFID magnetic marker, we received patents for that in 2012. In 2015, we developed the Infomarker connecting mobile GIS data collection with RFID. And since then, we've won awards, product refinements, and patents along the way too. Now here or just previously in 2020, we're already in 2021, which is crazy, but in 2020, Berntsen introduced software that connected our RFID markers directly into ArcGIS. So we developed a web widget using Esri's web app builder for Windows, and we also have a Survey 123 add-on. So we're still making lots of great advancements in this, but it's great that we're on the Esri platform now, and working hard to continue to make that and refine that. So let's talk a little bit more about RFID, and right here we're going to launch actually a second poll here. So I'd like to get a little familiarity with with your knowledge of RFID. So if we can launch that poll. Yep. Okay. So just again, how familiar are you with RFID? Do you have experience in it? Have you used RFID for other purposes? You're familiar with it, you know what it is, you've maybe used it for some application, or you're familiar with some of the applications, or maybe you're not familiar at all. And then a second question is, how familiar are you with using GIS platforms for asset management? So this is going a little bit beyond, parcel management and parcel fabrics, those sorts of things, but really, tracking, maybe culverts and signs, or tracking things that you need to track, maybe stormwater assets, maybe, gas, electric, your utility assets, those sorts of things. So give just another quick second here, and we can have you fill that out and click submit. And there we go. So nobody's real experienced, which is okay. I hope that after this presentation, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable. But some of you are familiar with it, you know a little bit more about what it is, and then a good number of people who aren't. So it's kind of 50-50 there. And then as far as using GIS platforms, there's a good amount of experience. People are either well experienced or somewhat experienced, with a small number not familiar. So again, I'm hoping after this presentation that you've got a little bit more understanding of what RFID is, its power, and how it can be used to really streamline and make your field applications more efficient. So really talking about RFID, radio frequency identification, it's really perfectly suited to enable better asset management. It's the fastest growing asset ID technology in the world. It's simple and it's versatile, and it has many advantages over using paint, barcoding, etched manufacturer numbers, those sorts of things. It's not a new technology. It's being used all over the world to track packages, inventory, warehouse information, even in the medical field, tracking medications and those sorts of things, equipment. But it's really well suited because of its key benefits that include the things like that there's already standards in place. It's being used well across the world for many things. There's no line of sight that's required. So it's really perfect for those assets that can be both above ground and below ground. It's passive. It doesn't require any sort of battery or any conductor. There's no power source. So it makes it perfect for those utilities like electric and gas where you can't have a power source. But it also lasts a long time too, because it doesn't need that power source. So as long as the chip stays in place and isn't damaged in any way, it can last a lifetime. It's also stable and durable. And it provides really that unique serial number that's like a digital fingerprint for your asset. So it's a really great way to link that physical and digital world. All right, so again, my thing doesn't want to advance here for some reason. There we go. All right, so in talking with people on both sides of you know, the asset management system, you know, people who are in the field up on the operations side, and those that are also in the office or on the GIS side, it was really clear to us that both sides had one goal. They wanted this seamless system that links field assets and their data into the office. They want field location and data collection to be streamlined and accessible in the office in real time for better management. But unfortunately, the reality is really quite different. When a field technician goes out to locate those assets, they may not be able to find them. They might be in the wrong locations. They might not be able to verify that the position that they're in is really the correct position. And then when they go to collect the data, they might not have the correct inspection forms that they need. They might be linking data to the wrong asset. And once they actually have that data, then sometimes they run into being able to have to transcribe that information into different formats, or when copying the data from paper forms to spreadsheets, those sorts of things. And in reality, each one of those steps also introduces error. So tracking the information to the wrong asset, not having the correct forms available, transcribing and transposing information incorrectly when doing data entry. And besides all those potential errors, it also takes a lot of extra time to do that. So the data in the GIS may not even be up to date. There's a lag there in the timing for that. Berntsen looked at what we could do to eliminate those breaks in that chain and really reduce the amount of human error that's introduced into the system. So using RFID, we created this system that helps locate assets in the field. It verifies their location, and with a physical marker in the ground or on the asset that's linked to the digital twin, you know, that data point that's in GIS. And from there, inspection forms can be launched for the specific asset, streamlining that data collection and really giving you that data cleanse. I don't know how many times I've gone to a survey marker or something like that, and you know, one person has it in the data collection software as 1 inch IP, and the next person has it as IP 1 inch. Or you know, somebody marks down avenue and the other person marks AVE. So there's all these differences. So it gives you kind of that data cleanse as well. And it streamlines that data collection process. So the other thing also is that with a cellular or Wi-Fi connection, this data is automatically updated through the cloud in the backend database. So it saves and updates as soon as that can. Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't have that data connection, it's also saved and updated as soon as that connection becomes available. So as soon as you get back to a location where you've got some cellular signal, or you get back to the office, as soon as that connection is made, that information is updated. So this means that really between the field and the office, they have access to the same data in real time, assuming you've got that connection. So RFID technology connects the asset to its data point in GIS, making this process virtually seamless. Marking the assets with RFID tags gives each asset its own unique serial number, and that is linked through the software to its digital data point or its digital twin in GIS. This works with any type of asset, whether it's above ground or underground, and any type of asset can be marked with RFID. So anything from your water, your stormwater, sewer, electric, gas, fiber, and it can also be used for other things as well, such as signs and culverts and other improvements that your municipality or agency needs to keep track of. The elements of the connected RFID system are really quite simple. The RFID marking tags, the one that's shown way to the right there, this one particular happens to be our underground tag, but they all work the same way. And those tags are activated and communicate via UHF radio frequency to the RFID reader that's shown in the middle. The reader is then Bluetooth connected directly to your tablet, your mobile device, what sort of data collection device you have out there in the field. And when that tag is read, the software recognizes the ID of that tag and matches that ID to the data point in the data set. This automatically populates its information and all the associated forms and fields that go along with that data point. This integration is then automatically updated into the GIS data set with our web application or with Survey 123 if you've got the internet connection. And again, if there is no connection available at that time, it will update as soon as that connection is made. So Berntsen has been an Esri partner for more than 10 years now, and we've developed these web apps and add-ons to work right into your Esri platform. The Infomarker for ArcGIS widget works with the ArcGIS field data collection web app to integrate RFID reading for those assets directly into ArcGIS on the ArcGIS online platform. And the web widget plugs into the Esri web app builder's environment for RFID marking of field assets and the RFID assisted inspections. So a quick read of that Infomarker RFID tag validates the ArcGIS data and then unlocks that full power of ArcGIS Online. So this streamlines the inspection reporting, the asset locating, and the verification that you're in the correct location. We also have our Infomarker add-on for Survey 123, which runs basically in the same way. We're also working with more and more clients who need to manage assets but are not yet invested in an Esri platform. So we do have standalone software, our Infomarker data management software. It's a complete package that manages any type of asset and can be exported in a wide range of formats to be pulled into other platforms as needed. So I believe that there's 19 different formats that it can be exported in. Shapefile, KML, CSV, DXF. So if you're putting stuff in a CAD system, you can dump things from the data set into CAD, SQLite. There's all sorts of different formats that can be used too. So now I'm going to run a quick short video, and actually I'm sharing my desktop here, so I'm going to quick switch over to a video. This highlights just how the system works in the field. So it shows things from a field operations side on asset management. This video actually focuses on a stormwater application, but again, like I said, this can be used as a wide variety of things here. So let me.
Hey, Emily.
Yes.
Before, as you're starting this on launching the video, I had a question in the chat. What's the general cost for the RFID tags?
So the RFID tags do range. We have our underground tags. We've got a couple of different varieties of our underground tags. They're generally $30, $40, $50 on those. Some of them depend because they can go to different depths. And so their antennas are a little bit bigger. They're also equipped with, the underground tags are all equipped with a very strong reverse polarity magnet. So as you're going along, and as a surveyor, I kind of think about, finding iron pipes in the ground or finding monuments in the ground. We're in the northern hemisphere. What we've done is we've actually flipped the magnet on those. So if you have a magnetic locator that has a visual gauge on it, you will normally see like an iron pipe or something like that will be in the positive. These actually ring the same as another one, as an iron pipe would ring, those sorts of things, but it rings actually in the negative. So you could tell the difference between, as you're running along, you can tell the difference between, oh yeah, that's something that's metal in the ground. Oh, and then here's my Infomarker tag because the polarity is reversed on it. So, so those, depending on depth, depending on size, they're in anywhere between, $30 and $40 or $30 and $50. We also have tags that are designed for above ground. And these can be like we've got a 4-inch circle sticker, and also I've got some examples coming up here. But those ones run at about $20 a piece. So the customized, you can put actually a custom logo on it. Those ones start out at $20 a piece, and then our micro box, which is quite a bit smaller. It's actually about the size of your thumbnail, a little bit bigger than the size of your thumbnail, but those work really great on like gas meters, fire hydrants, those sorts of things where you want to have something a little bit more inconspicuous that you can go and still read, but they've got a longevity life as far as the adhesive and stuff on them to last a really, really long time. So anywhere between $20 to $50. We also have Carcinite posts that have been Infomarker enabled. So those run about closer to about $60 or $70 on those. But those are really great if you're doing gas pipeline inspections. I know there's some really tight restrictions on showing the fact that you can be traceable, verifiable, and complete with your inspections. And I know there's a lot of requirements on, you know, the types of posts that they can have out there and the information that they have on their stickers and all those sorts of things. So this really gives you that TVC compliance, as well as, you know, being able to have that inspection process, you know, automatic in the field. So there's a general, you know, range depending on the use and the depth and those sorts of things for the tags. But I think that covers it. I think that answered it. Were there any other questions?
Nope, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if I can launch this video here. For some reason, I don't know why it's giving me trouble. Let me just relaunch it here from my downloads. All right, so this is going to go along. You'll see a field inspector come into the picture here real soon, and he's going to be doing some stormwater inspection. So you see him, he's found a couple of different assets that are marked by Infomarker. That's the round DOS marker I was talking about. So he's going to take his reader, do a quick trigger pull on the reader, and that launches the information on his tablet. So he can select the tag that he's at, the asset that he's at. He's now going to go in and fill in his inspection. So he's got lots of information he's tagging. It kind of goes quick there. But then as soon as he hits save, he can move on to the next asset. So now he's walking out to the manhole. He's going to do a quick scan on the manhole. Again, that's going to populate the correct information for that asset. He can select it and then go on through his inspection. Now, once he hits save on this, he has that information already tabulated. There's other people in the field that can see that information. The people in the office can see that information. And really that's giving him his faster, more accurate and easy integration for this. So, so next I am going to, I think the next slide here is going to be the other video. Yes, so I'm going to share quick this other video. This video is actually, we did some virtual demonstration with another customer of ours. And so this is actually recording from that demonstration. So there's a little bit of stuff that's out of context just here because, you know, we were talking specific to some of the questions that they had. But it really gives a good indication and shows the workflow from the office side of things. Now, the software that is being used, the software that was used in the video that I just showed is actually our web widget. So that's actually integrating directly with ArcGIS Online. But the one that I'm going to show now is our custom Infomarker GIS package. So if you aren't on Esri or you're looking for an option, this shows that platform as well. So I'm just going to launch that quick, and we'll do a full screen. This one does have sound with it, and it's myself talking. So I'm not being cloned or anything. It is me talking, but it's kind of a process that that we went through with another customer. So now we're just going to go through and walk through the RFID inspection workflow. So when you're in the field, we would locate the asset to inspect. In here, so this is the same asset that we just created. One thing that you're not seeing that was kind of off on the screen here is our blue dot or our location. So this is really helpful when we're looking for or identifying our assets that we have to inspect. Okay, so we've got our blue dot as we walk along in the parking lot. We're going to see that blue dot move, and we're going to see us getting closer and closer and closer to our data point. This is how we can help navigate, and then when we do that scan, that's what's going to confirm that we're at the correct location. So we're going to go through here, and then we also have a couple of options too when we are ready for the inspection. We can go ahead and pull the trigger on the reader, which will scan this location. So just like we did before when we were checking the audit trail, we can pull the trigger, scan it, and the information is going to populate. The other option here is this RFID tag button down here. That will also initiate that scan to the reader. So if you want to you just want to, set the reader down on the ground next to the tag and then just work on the tablet. You can also select this point, and that's going to do the same type of read. So it's going to scan it. We're scanning the tag now, and it's going to come up with the information for that tag. Again, what I talked about before is if there's other points that are in the vicinity within the next 5 feet or so of where you're at, it may come up with a list of items. One thing to keep in mind is if it comes up with a list and you're still not sure, I would move closer to the one that you're at. It may be moving farther away from one of the other ones to make sure that you're scanning the right one or the only one. But otherwise, they're pretty self-explanatory. You've got your asset name in here. You can identify, hey, yep, I'm supposed to be at catch basin 1. Here's catch basin 1. Select inlet 1. So we selected, and we come back to this screen, and now we're going to do our inspection. So we're going to click Add Inspection, and this is going to open up a whole new window, which is going to have all of our inspection information in it. So we can identify an inspection frequency. We can add weather and temperature if we like to. We can take more photos. So again, this is where I said this would be really important, especially if there's maintenance that need to be done. Maybe a catch basin has debris or something and it needs to be cleared or emptied. We can note that information in here, and then we can also take pictures. So here we're just going to say this is a quarterly inspection, standard inspection. We're going to go through, and now we've got our questions of different inspection information we want to gather. But these are just drop downs: no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Then if they're no's, they're going to stay this way. But as soon as you click a yes, it can give you another drop box to have more questions associated with that yes. For this particular one, we just are going to change it to yes. And then we are going to have a second question that's going to pop up that says, please describe. And then the user can type in information specific to that question. You can have other things in here too. So if it's a yes, maybe you want to say how much, or you want to say, I don't know, there's an endless number of questions you can have as additional questions in here, but they stay hidden until those other options are changed. So now we can add additional questions if we want. Again, we can take more photos if we want, and then we're going to go ahead and click that send button again. But then it's going to take us back to the main asset page that we were at. So now we want to click send again. So it's almost like we went into the asset as one layer, and then we went into a second layer for the inspection. So now we want to make sure we back up the inspection and then we back up the asset. Because if anything changed in the asset part, we want to make sure we back that up in too. So it's like we're going in 2 layers. We need to make sure we save out 2 layers, if that makes sense. So we're just going to quickly back this up. Okay, so we're going to hit send again. So we've got this backed up for our specific data or our specific data set. So now one thing I want to highlight here is you see our asset is changed colors, right? So it's blue now. It was like a brown black before. It's blue now. So we know, okay, an inspection is already done on this point. We don't need to come back to it. Those colors are fully customizable as well as the time frames. So we can set up, like the assets to be all red if they haven't been inspected in the last 30 days. And then you can go out to a site and you can say, hey, yep, I think I've been to every catch basin and every inlet that's here. Let me look at my map again. And oh, that one is still red. I must have missed that one. You can set it up for 30 days or 90 days or 365 days or whatever. But you can have that so that it's visually eye-catching to say, hey, we're done, or no, we're not. And there's different icons and stuff that you can use. So if you have to do like a hydrant, you might want it to have a different image. So we've now done the inspection on it. I think that, let's make sure, yeah. So now we're just gonna look at what that information now looks like in the office. Okay, so this is what the inspection is gonna look like from the website. So we've got our project here. We're gonna go ahead and view that project. Once we get in, stormwater assets was up on top before, and now we're seeing storm inlet inspection on top now because that's the last thing we did in this project. So we're gonna go down to stormwater assets. We're gonna view our data set. It's gonna take us to the map. We've got our asset there that we created and we just now did an inspection form on. We can go ahead and click on that. We've got the information on the right-hand side that's associated directly with that. We can go down here quick, and I just want to pause it here for a second. So now you can see we initially wrote it, we inserted it, we synced it, we did some reads on it, and then we updated it, and then we synced it again. So these are all the things that we did on that particular asset. We did the write, we did a read, and then we updated it with the inspection information. So then we'll just go back quick up to asset record, view the related records for it, and that's where it's going to pull up then our inspection. So we have our inspector name, we know who was there, we know the time that it was inspected. This may be store number 10, its location, the user information, and what type of inspection frequency it was. And then all of the information over onto the right-hand side of the screen is all the information associated with that. All right, so the full screen here. I'll go back to the PowerPoint. I'm gonna kind of just stop it right here just for a quick second because I know that was a lot of information to go through. So if anybody has any questions or comments right now, please feel free. That process that we went through or that I just showed was actually for a stormwater application for a commercial store. So, we talk about our big box stores, all our Walmarts and our Targets and those sorts of things. And they're doing some stormwater maintenance on their side of things on a private capacity, but it's the same type of workflow, where you would go to an inlet and maybe inspect it for debris or for repair, those sorts of things. So
we've got a few questions in the chat. So the first one is, will this be compatible with other Esri field apps like Collector or Field Maps?
Yes. So we are actually working on both of those right now. We've made some progress with Collector, but we are really focusing now on Field Maps because we know Field Maps is really going to be kind of the future. So Yeah, so we're working on that. We don't have a tentative timeline yet on when we're going to have a release for that, but we are definitely working on that, and we will be compatible with that soon.
Great. Second question. So can the sync also occur with ArcGIS Online, or is it just Infomarker?
It happens with ArcGIS Online. So in any of the systems that we're talking about, whether it's Survey 123, ArcGIS Online, or our internal system, you're going to see a full audit trail. So anytime a scan is done on a tag, anytime an inspection is completed on a tag, anytime it's just visited, and you know, maybe you're just reading it to check to see, hey, that's okay, that's not the right point that I'm at, I need to go to the next one. All of those records create an audit trail in there. So what I talked about specifically with gas pipelines before was they need to have this traceable, verifiable, complete compliance, right? So they need to have this TVC compliance to federal regulation. This audit trail gives them that full, that full complete system, showing that everything has been, it's been traced, it's been verified, it's been inspected, those sorts of things. So that whole audit trail is like a complete package to say that they've met their requirements. It's also important too. I know a lot of people are, I'm not sure the term, but there's a stormwater, I think it's like MS4 or something like that, where they need to have that type of compliance as well. So this gives you a full audit trail with it. And it's really interesting because it gives you not just a date and a time, but also who was there as well. So you can do even internally some, you know, making sure the employees are doing what they need to do. And that is, you know, that scan has to take place in person. So there's really like no way to kind of fake it, right? So yeah, so that can be done in Infomarker, it can be done in ArcGIS Online, it can be done in Survey 123. It will be available for field maps and collector as well.
Great, we got a few more questions coming in. So
good.
Could you verify for the operating systems, iOS compatible, Android?
So our app is both iOS and Android compatible, and Survey 123 as well. We have for ArcGIS Online, our web widget right now is currently just Windows. So you would not need to have a Windows tablet, like a Windows Surface, that sort of thing. But we're working on being iOS and Android compatible with that as well.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to go down the list. So next question was depth range for those tags. What's the maximum depth?
So for the underground tags, our maximum depth is at about 30 inches. What we recommend is if you've got utilities that are much deeper than that, you know, we've got water lines and stuff that might be 5-6 feet down, that you would know the location of the water line, do a backfill, and then put the tag down so that it's only, you know, 24 to 30 inches below the surface. And then you know that, oh, you know, the excavator's coming in, he's digging a hole, he pulls up one of those. It's much easier for him to pull up one of those and replace that than to be able to hit the water line, and now we've got a catastrophe on our hands. So that's what we recommend in that application. They can be, if you do have utilities and stuff that are you know, only 30 inches below or 24 inches below, maybe you've got some fiber optic or some communication lines or something like that that are less deep. Those can be put right on the you know, top of the pipe, that sort of thing. I've got on this next slide here. So up here, up in the upper right hand corner, that's the application right there where it's right on the pipe, and then you can put it right next to the pipe as well too. So
great. So, and then one more question in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of subsurface reader manufacturers does your markers and your application work with?
So our scanners are TSL or CSL readers. They are specifically designed for the UHF, for the ultra high frequency. And we do have a few other that we've also certified as being able to work with our system as well. We also make them available, you know, all the ones that we have certified, we make them available as well to purchase through Berntsen if needed. But yeah, we're really focusing on that ultra high frequency. So there are some that we don't work with for sure. Anything else?
Just open it up. I think we got everything in the chat, but if anybody else wants to speak up and ask, please do.
Okay, I just have a couple more slides to get through quick. And then if other questions come in, just let me know. So showing here is just a few examples of the types of tags and the applications that we have. We've got a different wider variety. This is the microbox I was talking about. They're really small. They're about the size of your thumbnail. We have our Carcinite posts. This is an application. This is a dish that we have as well. This one was still an engineering side of things. But then we also have our underground tags showing our reverse polarity magnet on them and our Carcinite posts for underground utilities. So just a quick case study. We've been working with Sammamish Plateau Water to work with their community towards the RFID-enabled infrastructure management. Sammamish Plateau Water is located about 15 miles east of Seattle, and it provides water and sewer to about 60,000 residents. Their service area spans approximately 29 square miles, and they actually have 2 cities and an unincorporated part of King County. So their application, they chose to install RFID tags on their water sampling stations. These sampling stations are tested weekly, and then they're also reported every 2 weeks to the health department to verify for clean drinking water. So they installed the tags to ensure that they were inspecting the right assets, and they also wanted to improve their accuracy and efficiency by automatically pulling up and pre-populating some of the correct inspection forms. Their extra bonus was the fact that they actually now have 100% traceable accuracy of their audits. So with using RFID and the Survey 123 application, they found a quick way for the field technicians to verify the identity of the sampling station simply by just pulling that trigger and reading the Infomarker tag. And once the tag was read, the correct forms were displayed. This eliminated their identification errors that they had previously experienced, and they were able to associate that inspection and the asset data in ArcGIS with the correct asset. This process reduced their errors, it improved their accuracy, it decreased the time for their inspections, and it streamlined their whole data collection process. So just lastly, just talking about the benefits of connected RFID. So in summary, RFID provides efficiency, which gives you that quick and easy asset identification and verification. So there's no mistake. That digital ID in that RFID tag that's tied directly to that data point. There's no way to break that, right? The accuracy that they have, so each tag is unique. It's associated with that specific GIS record. It's auditable. We've got that audit trail, right? So every time a tag is read, it's date timed and stamped, and it's added to that asset record. So it makes it very easy to achieve that regulatory compliance. It's versatile, so it connects with ArcGIS, Survey 123, all the things that we had talked about, but it also can be used on any type of asset. So it's system agnostic, right? We don't need a separate system for gas as we do for water. We don't need a separate system for signs as we do for culverts, that sort of thing. We can all have our data all in one specific system. And additionally, this fits directly into your current workflows, right? So there's less disruption, there's this minimal disruption. So it's really a easy field application that can be easily adopted without much change. So that's all I have. I hope you guys have learned a little bit more then about how RFID can improve that asset management. Thank you so much for having me today. But if there's still a few more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Emily. There is a couple of more questions that have come up in the chat. So first off, it's going back to one of your slides that were showing the tags in place. The one of the manhole, how is a tag attached? So
that is actually a test tag that we have out there. It's our dish. There is an adhesive back on it. It's like a 3M adhesive back. It's like kind of like a command strip, I guess, is probably the easiest way to do that. Actually, if you want to, I can go back to that slide quick right here. Yeah, so there's an adhesive back on it. It's the same type of adhesive back that's also on the microbox. So there's just a peel and stick on there. You stick it on, and then that adhesive that's on there actually is a very permanent adhesive. I'm not an adhesive specialist, but in our engineering department, we have an adhesive specialist. So we're making and using the best adhesives out there to make sure that those things are staying in place for a really long time.
Great. And then one more is, could you list some more types of use cases for the RFID for specifically city public works department?
Sure. So one other city that we were working with did all this stuff for stormwater. So they put tags on hydrants, they put tags on manholes, they put tags on inlets for catch basins. Basically any type of asset that they track, they put an RFID tag on it. In talking with Sammamish, which was the one that I referenced there, they're looking at this now from a wider perspective where they're talking about specifically for their hydrants. So they have a number of hydrants, and sometimes those hydrants get put in, and then there's, a couple years down the road, there's maybe some changes in the land development in that area. So they might need to actually take a hydrant out, so they're actually storing, it's a hydrant that might be 2 or 3 years old. They're actually taking that hydrant and storing it in a warehouse. And then when they get a new develop come in, then they put it back in. But the nice thing about it is they've got that historical record. So they know that that hydrant was installed at, First and Main for 2 years and was, in the works for 2 years. And then they scanned it and added more information to say it was taken out of service and stored. And now they've got additional information that it's being put back in and reinstalled in a different location. So they've got a full history on that hydrant so that they know, hey, if that hydrant needs to be replaced in 10 years, well, it really has a 12-year, shelf life on it because it's, was stored for 2 years or it was in place for 2 years before it actually got installed in that location. So they're using it to reuse hydrants. They're also using it now for things like for their meters, for gas meters, for any type of meter where they need to do a regulatory inspection occasionally. So, water meters, valves, junction boxes, electric utility, underground conduit, telecom, all these sorts of things where, especially for like telecom and fiber optic, there's not always a real good system in place to locate those utilities afterwards. And so like with 811 and Diggers Hotline and those sorts of things, installing the Infomarker tags along with those not only gives you the availability to do the inspection records on them, but it also gives you another way to locate them as well. So if there's those underground tags and they're buried over the top of some, telecom conduit, you can use your magnetic locator to find them and then figure out where you are on that line by the identification of the asset itself. So.
Wow, those are great. We only got a few more minutes left.
Yep.
So just if there's anybody else that has any questions for Emily.
Well, I'm going to go back just real quick to my last slide. So if somebody does have other questions and they don't feel comfortable putting them out here, or they don't want to speak directly, or maybe they've got some specific questions about their asset management system and how they can maybe utilize this better, feel free to reach out to me at my email address there. I'm more than happy to help out, and we can, sit down and talk about, that specific organization's application and how this might fit into. So other than that, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all your time. I had like 35 minutes of stuff here, so I'm glad you guys had a lot of great questions because I was worried I was going to be done 15 or 20 minutes too early. So.
Great. Thank you very much, Emily.
All right, thank you guys. I'm gonna knock out of here with my stop share, and you guys can come in and be ready for the next one. So thank you guys all so much. I appreciate it.